I do have the KenPom stuff right here. So the past, I don't even know how many national champions it is. They have all had a common theme. They have either been top 20 or top 25 in both adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. And if we're going by that right there is only 6 teams right now that could win the entire thing. Now, but in full disclosure, I printed this list off last night before the Kentucky game ended. So some of Tennessee stats have been updated, and they are actually in this list as well now. So that would make 7 teams.
Okay.
But those teams are Houston, Purdue, UConn, Arizona, Auburn, and North Carolina. Those are the teams that are both top 10 or top 20 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. Now, for those that might not understand what I'm saying, that the adjusted offensive efficiency is how many points you score in 100% possessions. And adjusted defense is how many you give up in 100 possessions. So Tennessee, in this list I printed off last night, they're 27th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They score 117 points on average in 100 possessions, which is really good because I looked it up. The average for the past, I think it's 7 national champions, is 116.9. So Tennessee is right at that average.
And that's before the Kentucky game.
That was before the Kentucky game.
Which
that
is
number
is
go
up.
Yeah, that number is rose, and I've got it pulled up that I'll read in a second. But Tennessee, and this is a good thing, they are number 2 in adjusted defensive efficiency behind only Houston. Tennessee gives up 90.9 points in 100 possessions, and the average number of the last 7 national champions, 89. So Tennessee is right on par with those numbers right there. And then the numbers after the Kentucky game last night, Tennessee is now sitting at 15th in adjusted offensive efficiency. I'll get the words out eventually.
Yeah.
Sitting at 118.8. And they are still second in adjusted defense behind Houston at 92 exactly. So you can add Tennessee into that list right there as far as teams that rank in the top 20 in both the adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. So Tennessee's got a chance when you look at the numbers like that of being one of the teams to win it all. And to give a little bit of insight on Kentucky, they are in the top 10 in the offensive efficiency, sitting at 119.8, but they're 75th in the defensive efficiency at 101.1.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this about full picture. That South Carolina loss sucked. I hated it. But South Carolina's a good team.
They are.
Good team. And for people that don't know, because they've kind of flown under the radar, South Carolina's 19-3 on the season. And they're 7-2 in the SEC. No reason whatsoever they should have been ranked when Tennessee was playing them. I mean, they had already beaten Kentucky. And obviously they beat us as well. They are literally sitting 1 game back of Alabama, who's sitting 8-1 in the conference. But I think everything is still there and achievable for Tennessee. Now, obviously, the margin is very slim, but we're a game and a half back because everybody's played. I think we've had our bye week before everybody else did. I'm assuming that's what happened.
We did.
So we're a game and a half back, but we're pretty much right there tied for second. And if we can get tied for first with Alabama, we'd actually have the tiebreaker over Alabama. So as far as the 5 losses that Tennessee has had over the season, probably the best 5 losses. I hate to say something like that, but probably the best 5 losses a basketball team can have in a season between, I think, Purdue, Kansas, Arizona. I can't remember the 3 teams that we played back-to-back in the beginning of the year.
So
Purdue, Kansas, and North Carolina.
And those 3 losses right there, Purdue is ranked number 2 in KenPom's rankings.
Yep.
Let's see, North Carolina is ranked number 7 in KenPom's rankings. And Kansas is ranked number 13 in KenPom rankings.
And South Carolina is going to be in the top 20 after this week, 100%. And
Yeah. Well,
uh,
KenPom, they are down a little bit. They're 42, but they'll be in the top 25 of the AP for sure.
yeah. And the only loss in there that really, really stings is that Mississippi State loss.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what was going on that game, but regardless, still as a collective, I mean, if you're going to have 5 losses in the season, and 3 of those teams have some of the biggest centers in the game, and one of the best players in America, right there with Dalton Connect playing that position. I think that's the Purdue kid, right? Edey.
Yeah, Zach Edey.
Zach Edey. Yeah, I mean, just one of the best players in the nation. Probably going to be the first overall pick in the draft.